Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Manila Storytellers. My name is Benjamin Canapi, and I am your host for this series. Manila Storytellers is part of WanderManila's online education series, which aims to continue our mission to educate and tell stories about Manila and the Philippines through various online initiatives. What is Manila Storytellers all about? The show is all about the new storytellers that help shape and define what Metro Manila is and what it can be. A city is only as memorable and important as the stories that give it shape and form in the hearts and minds of people. And the new storytellers are those whose passion for their craft and love for the city are changing the way we look at what's around us. Our first ever guests are a group of artists who have banded together and have started using their art to create images of a Manila that honors its past while looking at the future. They may be new and young. Actually, they've just started around late 2019, but they are already making an impact and starting important conversations over at social media. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to present to you Renacimiento Manila.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Diego Torres. I'm founding member of Renacimiento Manila, and I am currently working in Intramuros administration as a tour guide attached to the Intramuros Visitor Center, which is located in Fort Santiago. Other than that, I'm also an artist. I do comics and usually history theme or Filipino culture theme art, which I post online or I sell in various art markets.
Hello, I'm Bea Dolores, an artist, performer, and an architecture student in Mapua Intramuros. Also, a Bambike ambassador.
Hi, I am Andrei Alejandro, recently graduated from senior high in the Quantum Academy, Jansan. And I make art and 3D modeling and other things.
Renacimiento, which means Renaissance or rebirth. Why that? Why that word? Why that name for your group?
Oh, well, it's just Spanish for Renaissance, and like how we know or perceive the Renaissance, so the terms attached to the cultural rebirth of Western civilization, specifically in Italy during the 1400s. So a rebirth, which they saw after what they perceived was the Dark Ages, a rediscovery of the classical arts. So we put it in the context of Manila, a city which was destroyed during the Second World War. Prior to its destruction, during peacetime and the years before the war, it was famous the world over because of its, not just the structures, which showed you a blend of all the time periods in our history, but the culture as well. So there was a distinct character to the place, which unfortunately was destroyed during the conflict. Now, after the war, there have been several attempts to revitalize the city, but nothing comes close to the essence of the city. So this is what Renacimiento Manila wants to bring forward. We don't want to bring back the past as it is. We want to merge this past with the future. So we want a future which is anchored in the past, in the essence of Manila as a city, which what made it great. So that includes heritage promotion, preservation of our spaces, cultural spaces, as well as the cultural landmarks, among other things. So this is the Renaissance which we want to bring forward. Hence, why we chose Renacimiento as the name of the organization.
I understand that RM started late 2019, early 2020, tama ba? Okay, so for Bea and Andrei, what led you to join Diego's group? Or what led you to help Diego form this group?
Who wants to go first? Okay, I'll start na lang
Ikaw na, Bea.
I was the first recruit. Because thankfully I had several years of organizational work, like putting up organization from scratch or so things like that. So I know a lot of what not to do and I've learned from my fellow org mates that I have right now in our other organization, Alpha Team organization, which is thriving, even though we started very small and now. So yeah, this is this is why. And at the same time, I also believed in Sir Diego's idea and what Renacimiento is about, because there is a lack of, or we need more civil society organizations that has to encourage, pressure, and monitor developments that's concerning heritage conservation. Kaya, ayan, I'm one of it. It's my passion. I'm in the architecture and urban design field, so it's really close to my heart, especially Intramuros. Kaya, yeah, I'm with Sir Diego for this.
Ikaw naman, Andy, paano ka napasali dito?
It was just as simple as a friend tagging me in one of their early posts, yung artwork ni Sir Diego on. It was the first ever Beyond Nostalgia photo, yung drawing niya. That view from Plaza España, and then I was like, oh cool. There are also a lot of people out there too, and then they're already starting and stuff. And then I was like, I would share my own because it's something like I not alone in this, and I am just that, well, okay, the word went away from me, but yeah. Sorry.
Gets.
Yeah, but I think you got what I tried to say, and then you guys are saying, okay, join us and all that, and I was like, yes, I'm in. I'm completely in. Especially since I want to enter, well, fields related to that when I'm in college. Maybe even urban planning later on.
Okay, I
Yeah.
just want to clarify one thing. Andy, you're the one. Okay, you're the one who did the the 3D rendering
Apa.
of, tama ba?
Apa.
Ikaw yung gumawa. Aside from the fact that you actually don't live in Manila, how were you able to produce the 3D models for that? Where did you get the files or the blueprints to be able to create those? Because honestly, man, ang ganda niya.
Thank you.
Ang ganda niya.
First of all,
Oo.
thanks. And secondly, actually, hindi siya I only relied on archival photos kasi I don't think there are existing blueprints of some of the buildings anymore. And then meron din halong guesswork because like especially sa interior ng some of the buildings. Right now I'm already starting to begin working on the interior of Santo Domingo, and it really has to be based on some guesswork and even logic kasi yeah, there are a bunch of photos right now around the internet. It could be viewed publicly, but some of it is sort of lacking, so I really have to figure it out. Of course, with help from people, archives din. Yeah.
Can I add?
Yeah, sure, go on.
Yeah, sure. Go.
Yeah, for someone for a senior in architecture studies, talagang ibang klase yung talent, like artistic talent ni Andrei, na kahit kaming mga mas matatanda sa kanya, talagang like, whoa, like there's a lot of spatial talent that he has that some of us would just wish to have, especially in forming it digitally, and the fact that he only relies on things na hindi niya laging napupuntahan. He's amazing talaga.
Okay. Yeah, actually kasi iba yung impact of looking at all these buildings na you've only heard about or saw maybe a few pictures of, like Santo Domingo Church or UST. Honestly, when we take guests around there, we start explaining that UST used to be in the So I love what you guys are doing because you're helping us visualize a Manila that not necessarily from the past, but what could a Manila that could be. I understand ito yung talagang mission ng RM, no, Diego.
Yes. Kaya yung initial namin artwork and even yung mga postings namin regarding the 3D model, nakalagay sa kanya, beyond nostalgia. So we're not dismissing nostalgia. No? We're not dismissing wishing, longing for that. That's an important aspect. But what Renacimiento wants is to go beyond that, no? And to its art, help people visualize Manila that could be, no? So this is the potential that could happen, especially in Intramuros because it's a protected area. So you have to do a lot of things in there with regards to the history, with respect to the history of the place, no? So, and we're happy about that because we're having that feedback as well from other people, no? Na parang, as you said, no, it's different to see it in black and white pictures or in the location in the past, but it's another thing to see it in as if modern day, nandun sila. No? And that's what people to see, no? Na we can see it like this, and it's up to you. And it's up to us, no? To realize this dream, this vision.
Okay, I'm glad that you touched upon what you call this heritage because it's such a sensitive topic among enthusiasts and history buffs dito na unang-una, let's get this out of the way. There is not much left with regards to heritage structures in Manila, if not for Intramuros. And even then, Intramuros, San Agustin Fort, Manila Cathedral, Aduana, to stretch it ng konti. Itong mga buildings that you're talking about don't even exist anymore. The few buildings that natitira sa Manila always in danger of getting destroyed for one reason or another. And palaging sasabihin, ang palaging panglaban ng mga tao is yung unsustainability of heritage, yung the unprofitability of heritage, and how expensive it would be to reconstruct or refurbish, renovate, and sustain old building. Where does your vision for this reborn Manila fit into the current landscape?
Well, the vision of Renacimiento, like in other organizations, so they all have a vision for the city. We have environmental organizations, so we're one with them in envisioning a progressive city, a modern and livable Manila. Now, what we want to introduce in that picture, and I think this is something na kahit naman mga heritage organizations already existing have, no, is to put the importance of heritage in the place. Why? The essence of the place speaking, no, a space is not the same, but when you remove the structures there, no, structures which have been landmarks, which define the city, no, which remove if you remove them through the aggressive development or destruction during the war. Now, so where does the heritage structure sit in? And especially a city na maraming nasira during the war, like for example, Intramuros, no? We can't rebuild everything. Lagi na natin sinasabi, no? We can't rebuild everything. But we could rebuild some of these things. We can rebuild some things in the most strategic places in order for it to have great impact. So people sometimes say, no, wala namang profit, it's not profitable, no? Heritage, expensive, things like that. But you look at places in Europe, for example, no, in Prague, Vienna, these places, and the place itself, no, you know what it stands for. You can almost imagine it because of the architecture, because of the landscape in there. It's not that it's not profitable. It's just easy to dismiss that in order to advance a certain standpoint. That is, I want to build condominiums, period, no? So, something like that. We don't have anything against condominium development per se, no? Per se. But we have issue when it comes to take into consideration the cultural landscape of the city. Because the landscape gives the city character, no? And with that, when you have a city with character, you have a template for cultural events, for encouraging people, no, to maximize these places. For example, Intramuros, in the past several months, due to several steps taken by Intramuros administration, for example, people have been going there more, steps have been taken to maximize the place even during the night time.
Yeah.
These are things that were unthinkable several years ago.
Unthinkable.
Imagine.
Grabe yung Feb March ng Intramuros, yung pila yun, yung I have never seen Intramuros that filled. And bakit? Because ano lumalabas nun dahil then naglagay ng ilaw, then nilinisan, then binuksan yung
Yeah,
dungeons. Ay,
exactly.
napakaliit, yun pa lang ang ginagawa nila. Yun na yung
Imagine
impact
if the
eh.
gates are open.
Oh,
Imagine if
you see that,
gates are
no?
open eh. Oo, di
And
ba? At
imagine
saka,
that
hindi lang yun.
for,
Yeah, sorry. Game,
imagine that
Jago.
for the city of, for example, Manila. So, well, the city government is doing what it does. It's cleaning place up. And you can always
Finally,
Jones Bridge, for
finally.
example. So, it's not true, no, na it's unsustainable. It's up to the people, for example, institutions or people in power that to make an effort, no? Because heritage itself will not take care of itself, okay? Like anything else in the world, no? Like heritage structures, institutions, everything has to be taken care of, no? So that's where an important combination comes in, and we believe in this in Renacimiento Manila. You need first, of course, the private institutions, or private individuals, organizations, civil society organizations. Then you need, of course, the support of the government, because the government, or with all its fault, no, it's still a major player. No? It's still a major player in implementing rules and actually keeping a place intact, so to speak. And lastly, the public. So we need to capture the public's imagination in order for them to care in the first place. No? And in the process, to show them that these are not just pretty places we're restoring. This has the capacity to create jobs, to bring in visitors. Of course, that's a secondary concern, no? To bring in the visitors. The major concern will be to preserve a place, bring its opportunity to people, bring the people closer to these places, to major events, to sustain cultural programs. And as young as our organization may be, this is part of the vision, of the Renacimiento vision. So it's more than mortar and masonry. It's vision which includes the people, economic, cultural, and among other things. A vision of the past for the 21st century, as we say.
I guess
Yeah, go.
I'd love to elaborate about the people, and yung binanggit nyo na nagdagdag ka lang naman ng ilaw sa Intramuros at sa buong Manila, tapos biglang, wow! Yeah, that's exactly it. That's the beauty of adding a good physical environment sa isang city or sa isang area, because, for example, kapag ka-cluttered ang desk mo, hindi ka makagawa ng ayos. So if clean yung desk mo, if clean yung room mo, it gives clarity in your overall well-being. So what more can the city? It's a lot of people. It could provide consciousness and proper character, better character. Mas maayos mag-behave ang mga tao. That's a possibility. And sense of pride. Mantakin mo yun, like maybe a lot of us, like kumari adults na, lumaki sa Manila or nag-aral sa Maynila. Tapos, dati dinadaan-daanan lang yun. Tapos biglang, the moment lang na nagkaroon ng ilaw, na, I'm so proud na nag-aral ako dyan. I'm so proud of ganyan. Ramdam ko na Filipino ako. Ang ganda ng Intramuros. I love Intramuros. So dun pa lang. From simple things. So what more if everything is really interconnected? If the urban design and is based on a heritage character that is deeply rooted na from a cultural standpoint, yung pagkaka-design ng city, that's gonna bring more essence na ramdam ko yung pagiging Filipino ko kasi I feel so represented through the physical through the things that I am seeing. Through the things that I am seeing, I can feel that sense of pride. So, yeah, it feels good that we feel deeply rooted because of visualizations, and that is why it's not, per se the heritage developments aren't expensive, or like, yes, an actual building or an actual portion of an area is hard to maintain, but it's also considered as an investment because of the things that I mentioned earlier, because it's not just that thing, it's not just that portion of the area, but it's also how it affects everything else. The businesses, the human consciousness and so many things. It also can inspire new artists, inspire writers, inspire new knowledge, just like how the Renaissance was back then. Kaya, rebirth of Manila.
Ganda. Ganda nun. Kasi I can't even begin to, what do you call this? Pinpointed the little things na ginawa ng City Government of Manila as of 2019 lang as of June 2019. Yun na lang, pinaalis nila yung Tiangge doon sa gilid ng City Hall. Ang laki ng impact doon sa area na yun. Biglang luminis eh. Tapos biglang naging accessible ang Quiapo. Tapos biglang gumanda ang Jones. Yung, what I see is, for example, sa Jones Beach na lang na, especially nung pakakabukasan niya, lahat ng tao pumupunta doon para mag-picture. Ano kaya, no? Pumbukas na yung Savoy doon sa baba nun.
Yes.
Dama na may parking space. Ano kaya, no? Tapos pag bilang pumutok doon, hindi kaya feasible na maglagay ng mga maliliit na hotel sa Escolta? Hindi ba feasible ng linisan ng Escolta? Kasi, ayun na, tuloy-tuloy na, oh. Sayang eh. Who knows where Manila tourism would have been at this point kung hindi nagka-COVID-19 eh. Kung hindi na-quarantine. Sabi, the numbers that Fort Santiago were producing ng Feb and March, it was crazy. Ano yun? 15,000 a day?
Halos ganon. Especially during the weekends, yun yung pinaka-mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing. May pila. May pila sa Intermost. Kasi what? Dahil nililisan nila? Grabe, galing. Okay, sorry, bago tayo.
It also shows yung power ng social media. You know? The great way of both, you mentioned John Tweed and then Fort Santiago, both places were hyped through social media. So it's not just enough na binuksan natin sa lugar. No? There's also has to be a systematic way by which we broadcast this to the people and bring them forward. Like I said, no, like in maintenance, that of course everything will have to be maintained. In the modern age, everything will have to be publicized as well, and there's social media to do that. No, we have people, for example, Fort Santiago, coming from Nueva Ecija, coming from faraway provinces, just to visit the Danube. So we have that. Because there's so many.
Yeah. Sayang ako, the last few tours that I did before nag-quarantine, part of yung request, mga special request ng mga tour groups, can we go to Jones Beach? Wow. Yeah. I mean, honestly, subukan nyo gawin nyo ng 2018. Gusto namin makita Jones Beach ng 2018.
Kahit June 2019, kahit early June 2019 lang eh.
Diba? Parang walang gusto, nobody likes walking to Jones Beach. Tapos bilang mami at may pagkatapos ng renovation, putsang daming tao, nagkaka-traffic kasi ang daming nagpipicturean doon. Ang galing. Kasi yun, I think, despite na ako yung nagtanong na how does heritage fit into the big plans and how can heritage be sustainable, yun pa lang eh.
Yes.
You just beautified a beach. Hindi mo lang na-history yung beach. Pinaganda mo lang, ang laki na ng impact eh. Tapos biglang inilawan na nila yung okay, sorry. I think I'm taking over this too much. Okay.
Okay na.
Okay, then. Ako, I'll go back to, yun. So yung idea of, making 3D renderings of the Dominican block of Intramuros, whose idea was that?
Both Sir Diego and Andrei.
Well, initially, the inspiration was a drawing. As Andrei said earlier, it was a drawing of the area. And why I chose that area is because it's an iconic place in the city. And then when Andrei was part of the group already, we discussed let's make, because he showed me a 3D model of Fort Santiago, pre-war Fort Santiago. And we said, let's make something showing you vision of the city. At least one building, let's make UST. But Andrei insisted, no, I can make this area. So since...
Sa paging bata?
So it only...
Sipag!
So he said, I can make this area. So what he did, he showed, he placed the church, and then since makikita ang Santa Rosa, sinama Santa Rosa. Since mahagip ang old YMCA or yung Chronicle building, sinama yung Chronicle building. Tapos, so
okay.
it started...
Confused ako doon. Tataka ko kung ano yung nakikita. Parang hindi yung, parang ibang building yung nakita eh. Grabe. Unang-una, yun, doon ako sobrang amazed dun sa 3D endings. Kasi nga, as you mentioned po kanina, Andrei, walang plans. Kung may plans nun, baka nasunog yun ng World War II, baka nasira na yan. So photos. Tapos aside from 3D, 3D modeling, ang 3D model mo, Santo Domingo, just ko yung details sa labas. Grabe. Grabe. I mean, how long did it take you to make all those renderings?
I started at I think that I started like late April.
Okay.
Yung UST actually talaga inuna ko kasi that was the one where I had most details of, and then actually Santo Domingo was pretty much a mock-up for maybe the first 2 months, because I really decided to focus on the other buildings na lang din muna, kasi it's kasi at first it was sort of a challenge to do all of the details ng Santo Domingo. There was I was like, I have to figure out how to do it at first. Pero ayan, in the end, I managed it. I'm surprised, honestly, that I was able to manage it too. But here we are.
Between yung first sets of drawings mo of a revitalized Plaza Roma sector, plus itong 3D rendering nung Dominican section ng, honestly, yun lang ba yung Dominican? Mga pala kasama lahat. But anyway, yung Benavides area na yan, you made quite a bit of noise. You made quite a bit of noise online. I mean, ang daming nagulat dun sa quality of the artwork eh. So, kamusta naman yung response on your end, Diego?
Well, on our end, we post these things, no? It started to grow the following of the organization with the intention that we wanted, no? So we have people actually approaching, saying it's strange, it's strange in a good sense, no? To see the structures in the places where they used to be. And the positive, so what it brought eventually ay yung the expansion of the membership. Like we said earlier, the organization, the page, no? So the reach of the page was the followers, likers was just at least 900 at the time when we posted the first sets of pictures, stills of the 3D model. The 2 set videos, we kept featuring it. Now we're approaching 3,000 within a month, no? And our weekly following is usually at 20,000, averages at 20,000. So these are just the responses. Of course, we always answer people when they post comments, no, for clarifications. And there are people asking, is there a committee to rebuild this? What's the first step? Things like this, no? So these are interesting questions, very interesting questions.
Actually, good. Okay, I'm going to jump off what you just said about people asking, so what's the plan now? Kasi yun talaga yun. I mean, what is the end game for Renacimiento Manila? Is it to force people? Is it to compel people to at the very least have the conversation, or are you aiming for something a little bit more physical and solid than that? Anong habol ninyo?
Well, the vision of Renacimiento is, of course, the cultural rebirth of the city. And in order to achieve that, we have 2 types of projects. We have the soft projects and you have the harder projects. So a soft project deals primarily with cultural matters and, of course, the easier ones, to do 3D models. We have plans to do a 3D model, for example, of pre-war Intramuros. It's already in the works, and other matters. And actual miniature models, so we're still trying to figure that out. While in the hard targets, that includes the Dominican quarter, no? In our part, we're at the moment, no, we can answer the question right now, is there a committee, for example. But what we can say is we're actually studying the process by which it can happen, no? And it's something that people can look forward to in the years to come, no? And of course, with the help of the people and other stakeholders, it will be possible within our lifetimes, no? And not just Santo Domingo Church, no, but the cultural rebirth of other key areas of Manila. Because as we know, Manila is not just Intramuros, no? It has Quiapo, you have Escolta, you have Santa Ana, but Intramuros occupies a special place because it is the heart, no? It is a spiritual heart of the city of Manila. No? It has the capacity to infect the other places, not with the virus, no? But with the value for heritage and how it can shape and it can help the lives of the people. So it's one thing. I think Bea might like to add.
Yeah. Sorry. About the like limitations and parang nawala ako bigla. Okay. So about the limitations naman na we have limitations right now based on merong ibang mga may nakatayo sa mga structures, sa sites ng mga structures dati, which we respect, and at the same time, not just the institutions on there, standing right there, but also yung mga laws that may or may not support our cause. But despite those limitations, we still keep our vision because we don't know what might happen in the future, for example, or like in the near future. What if there's a proactive decision from a very good leader somewhere, or a very good agency or institution that will just, let's focus on building this, like whatever, despite all these drawbacks, we'll do this. And bigla siyang na-push through. So we don't want to hold on to any limitations. We will keep pushing our vision forward so that we will instill hope and drive towards everyone. And we really do not know what might happen. It can just take one huge political will of those in power, and us as people, as the people that they serve, are also drivers of this. So tulungan tong effort.
So when, for example, may mga buildings in the belt, no, we don't look at the problem like, oh no, may buildings sa lugar. No, we look at it, okay, so there are buildings in these places, so there are obstacles on our way. How do we go around it? So that's the more important question, of course, no? Because, and there will be comments like this in the pages. For example, there are already buildings standing there. So what do you bring forward? Yes, there are buildings, no? But we have to think of how we can reach the end of what we want to happen. So that's how we perceive things in Renacimiento Manila.
Yeah. For example,
proactive in the sense in the future, no, for in anything that will shape the face of the city, we will be there proactively supporting, championing the vision, not just of the city of our organization, but for well-being of our people hinged on heritage.
Yeah. So to add, for example, a moat na sobrang riddled with pests or infestations dati became a golf course. A portion of a sea or of Manila Bay was transformed and reclaimed into CCP complex, and even up to the SM MOA. So we really don't know what can happen. Like, yeah, there's a lot of limitations, but there can also be solutions in the future, or maybe within each and every one of us right now. Kaya, go lang.
Okay. Sige, just to wrap this up now. For example, if there's anybody watching this who is interested to join the group, open ba kayo to new members, o may dadaanan ba silang initiation, may mga test pa, kakain ba sila ng apoy? How can people who are interested to join your group join your group?
Aakyatin nila ang pader na Intramuros mula sa labas.
Madali lang yun. Matungis nga lang.
Hindi doon sa side na Alwatid San Diego, mataas. So,
Kita mo ko na, yak.
yeah.
Boss.
Anyway, ano lang naman, wala naman kami initiation process. No? We're open. Just leave us a message to our page, social media page, Facebook and Instagram. We also have YouTube. So you can just comment or leave a message and then we'll talk. No? Kasi we also want to talk to get to know the people before they join. Kasi of course, it's an organization. So expect some level of commitment in terms of how can you contribute, no, to the cause of the city, to our cause, no? Not just our organization cause, but the cause of the city of Manila, the people of Manila. So that's an important thing. Then afterwards, it's pretty much it's a light organization, artist, light but dedicated to seeing through, no, the vision. No?
Okay, let's end this on a slightly optimistic note. For example, if all three of you were given enough power to be able to change, to restore, to transform something in the city of Manila, what would be the first project that the three of you would do? Unahin na natin yung pinakatahimik. Andrei, ikaw muna. If you could restore, transform, or change something in Manila, anong uunahin mo?
Gusto ko sabihin ang traffic. But pero okay, well, pwede
Actually,
rin.
fair
But
yun.
honestly, ewan ko bakit nang labas yung aking part that is very favorable when it comes to Pero yeah, pero in a standpoint, gusto ko ibalik ang not all of intro talaga kasi there are some things that really just can't be done kasi some of it is obsolete already, but if it can be done, yung ang Dominican corner yun. Pwede yun ang Dominican corner of Intra. It's just so iconic for me. And it was like, basically how I even knew of this was when I was doing research. Only research for something that I was doing back when I was in junior high. It was like I'm going to do an artwork for this, and then I was like, I have to make this accurate or something. I don't know why, but it's just yeah. And then I started researching and then stuff, and then I came across all of it. It was just so nice. I really got so parang na-addict na ako eh. Yeah. Tapos ayan, I also started having a tour in I also went to Manila back in 2017 and then it just went on from there. I was like, ang daming sa Intramuros, there could be a lot of things that can be really done. So gusto ko unahin talaga if ever. Yan.
Bea, ikaw.
Connectivity from within Intramuros to SM and to yung magkabilang side. Yes, there are 2 underpass, but throughout the years,
pinapaganda, let's be fair, pinapaganda
naman po. I mean, not through walking, but through immediate transportations. Kasi I was a dormer. I lived in the dorm in Intramuros and sobrang hirap. Yun lang, magkalapit sila eh. Pero kapag marami kang bitbit, di ka makakapunta doon kagad. Papuntang SM, tapos ang pangit ng circulation ng dadaanan para lang, like pedicab or anything, para lang makapunta doon. There has to be a proper connectivity in between kasi magkalapit lang sila. And it's a good, circle. Like there's Metropolitan Theater, there's Arroceros Forest Park, there's SM, there's LRT, and then there's Intramuros, tapos Pailoneta. So a proper connectivity between all of those is gonna be amazing for everyone, for the people, you know. Hindi lahat ng tao kayang maglakad. Especially, I had an injury na hindi ko kinaya mula dorm ko hanggang Manila Cathedral. Yung mga ganong bagay, it can be walked, but it's so far and it's tedious. Pag nagmamadali ka, lalo na kung estudyante ka, may bit-bit ka, hindi maayos yung the current thing that we have right now. So, higil ako doon eh.
Ay, gusto ko magdagdag pala.
Sige lang.
Ang Transvia. One word, trams. Tapos sabay sila with the LRT. Imagine that. Yan pala ang gusto ko sabihin kanina pero I got carried away. Sorry.
Okay lang.
But yeah, I really want to see the trams go. I really want to see the tram back again. That's really one of the things.
Tama. Even in a limited capacity, sabihin mo nang umiikot lang ng Manila, may Tanvia na nakakabit sa Intramuros hanggang Jones or hanggang Santa Cruz. Ang dating bagay na yun eh.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, ikaw na Bea, dadagdagan ko yun sa'yo. Ako kasi yung unang-unang tour sa ginagawa ko, nagsisimula ko ng Luneta tapos hanggang Manila Central Post Office. So basically, American Heritage Tour siya. Walang tawiran from National Museum hanggang City Hall nang hindi ka nag-jaywalk.
Totoo.
So kung minsan, maski gusto mong dalhin yung audience mo, yung tour group mo doon sa harapan ng National Museum, hindi, yung likod na lang ang tingnan nyo kasi hassle eh.
Ang delikado rin. Like, ang iksi lang nung kalsada, pero ang delikado niya. Yung, fine arts.
Oo.
And yung connectivity din nung mga,
itong conversation na ito yung conversation na ito na masarap habang umiinom ka. Tapos bilang, ito, pero may mga buwisit, paano mo ginagawa na ito? Ikaw, Diego.
Road rage na yan.
Anong road rage? Wala nang nagmamaneho. Quarantine pa yan po siya.
Ayaw nga, no?
Wala naman. Anyway, Diego, ikaw, okay, of all the places of Intramuros, and I do know your passion for the place, anong uunahin mo if you given the chance?
Well, doon ako sa Santo Domingo eh. Why?
Talaga.
May logical siyang sense. Una, if you look at Intramuros, the key places in there, scattered siya within the city, no? And ang mga connected lang sa isa't isa is of course Fort Santiago, Plaza Roma, Casa Manila, and medyo off-way na konti yung Distillery Limtuaco, the other places. But you have here, tabi lang ng cathedral, no? A small plaza, a small square, na was also very iconic during its time, no? So, just place, di ba you have mga eatery doon, place like that. But the area is generally dead. It's like a black hole sa Intramuros, no? Like the other part, yung former residential areas during the pre-war period, yung ngayon ay wala, nothing at note, no? Hanggang ngayon na nakatayo. So if you're able to revitalize that, for example, placing the church back there as a church and placing UST there as a learning center, a library, an indoor convention center that matters, and having a museum as well, no? And of course, we all know na malapit na the National Archives is eventually going to rebuild the Aduana building.
Kung kailan man mangyayari yun.
Yes. So,
yeah, 2016 ko pa yung narinig yung Aduana.
So,
eventually,
nagalit na nga si Mark Lapid. Kailan mo gagawin yan?
Eventually, may potential yung area then, may potential to have a vast area of the walled city where people can actually just walk around and appreciate the place, no? And na hindi lang siya one-way street like towards San Agustin Church. Because honestly, when you go from the cathedral to San Agustin Church, nagmamadali ka lang naman eh. Yung maglililim ka ng konti sa Plaza Sinampalucan or dun sa Memorare. Tapos didiretso ka na papunta sa San Agustin and Casa Manila. Because there's nothing there to see in the first place. But when you have that, Plaza España, Plaza Santo Tomas and Plaza España, no, structures there, places to actually visit, you have a place where people can actually stay and appreciate the beauty of the walled city. And it's also a major point of entry into the walled city, no? Yung area na yun. So, that's why it's
especially
iconic.
now.
Oo.
Doon na yung daan ng mga sasakyan.
Ay, Diyos ko. Okay, so anyway, thank you very much, Diego, Andrei, and Bea. This was such a wonderful conversation. I am happy to have met both of you, and Diego. Miss na kita eh. Miss na kita eh.
Yes, siya. Miss din. Nakaka-miss
Ay,
din naman.
nako, kailan ba tayo makakabalik ng Intramuros, no?
Oh,
Ay, ako,
yung mga people, the guides, the community itself, yung mga locals, then of course office mates as well, and of course the place itself, no? Because that place has a certain spirit to it. I'm not
Yes.
talking ghost, no? I'm talking yung character.
Meron din nun.
Yes, meron din nun. No?
Meron din.
Meron din nun. Ay, nako, makuha, girl. Oh, I'm sure may mga kwento ka.
ay, sadly
Then-
ako wala.
Ano? Ako, asking not a conversation.
Ano
Ako,
ko
Then,
kahit recorded kasi
okay lang.
as
Anyway.
nagdo-dorm ako, tapos minsan gusto ko maglakad ng lagpas 12:00 ng midnight. Wala kasing tao, ang sarap maglakad. Yun, pero wala yata akong power or third, basta sense. Kaya wala akong nararamdaman. I'm so sad.
Ay, nako, ako may kwento na isa. Pero wag na. Saka na yun. I-off ko na tong recording na to. Well, okay. Saka, I have to end this, I have to end this for the recording lang. Okay, so, on behalf of WanderManila, thank you very much, Renacimiento Manila, for gracing the first episode of Manila Storytellers. Thank you very much.
Thank you also.
Woohoo!
Okay, thank you so much for watching, everybody. So moving forward, a fresh episode of Manila Storytellers will drop on the WanderManila Facebook page every Thursday at 5 o'clock p.m. Speaking of which, do like the WanderManila Facebook page for more updates about Manila Storytellers and all our other projects. A big shout out goes out to Blender Media, our technical partner for this series. So yes, please head on over to their Facebook page and give it a like as well.